Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and I'm just super excited because I had the most amazing time with Nikki Green the other day. And inside this training, what we did is really talked all about customer relationships and messaging, and the thing that you should do in order to really build your tribe and build loyalty, and really, just to establish trust with your ideal prospects. We really went dive into that. And if you don't know Nikki, she has been really crushing the organic game for quite some time now. Nikki is partnered with Josh Cousins in business, in life. Josh is another figure that we interviewed not long ago. And if you don't know them, they are just the sweetest thing ever. They've generated over $500,000 in sales using the same principles that are being taught inside this training, okay? Only with organic approach, nothing paid for ads or anything, and it was just so amazing and so powerful. Nikki is just an incredible person, and I can't wait for you to dive deep into this training. Just an FYI, guys, this was a live experience inside my Authority Hackers Facebook group. If you're not a member yet, please join us so you can also enjoy the live experience next time, interact with us, and also ask questions. Okay, we do those calls on a weekly basis. You have the link below, and also if you enjoyed the video, let us know what you think. Okay, comment, subscribe to the channel if you like the videos and you'd like to get notified whenever I have another cool training to share with you. And that is it. By the end of this video, you'll have the same principles and ideas and understanding of what Nikki and Josh did in order to really scale their business to over $500,000 in sales. I can't wait for you to do that. I can't wait for you to watch everything. It was so amazing and powerful. So without any further ado, let's dive in.
Okay, so first of all, Daniel, I'm saying thank you for having me here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity also to talk, because I remember when you had this interview with Josh, I was thinking to myself, watching it, right? And I was thinking to myself, damn, that is like a really good interview. Like, I want to get interviewed by Daniel too. So I was kind of like waiting for you to come in my inbox and to ask me. So finally, we have managed. Your group is amazing. Your interviews are unique. Like, I've been interviewed a few times before the past 12 months, let's say, but I haven't come across anything like yours. It's very, very unique. And I am absolutely sure that everyone in your group, every single one of your members agrees. Actually, your group is out there. Your name is out there. People talk about your group. I was actually talking today about your group and you with someone, and I only come across people who just love you and your group and your interviews. So I feel super, super honored to be here. Honestly, I was so nervous today. I admit it. I was so nervous about this day. And yeah, I'll be happy to tell you guys a little bit about myself. So my name is Niki Green. I am 41 years old. I am originally from Austria and I live in Spain. Since about 9 months, I live in Spain together with my partner, Josh. And we both work online since around 3 years. And the first 2 years, we have kind of like been a bit like a puppy, wobbling around, not really knowing what we do, but we were motivated and we did it all day, kind of like. And it was not till like a year ago, 12 months ago, that we kind of like found our voice, our message, our mission, knew what we want to aim for, and a calling, I would say, right? Yeah, the reason being I started working online in 2017 was simply because I did the math. I knew what I was earning back then. I was in corporate world in Austria for 20 years, from 17 till 37 basically. And I just knew, the math, it just didn't match. Like, what I wanted for my life was not achievable and not doable with my salary. So I was like, okay, there has to be another way. Like, what can I do, right? Like, what is it? And like so many others, I was Googling how to make money online. And yeah, I came across scammers, lost a lot of money, met not so nice people, met amazing people along my journey, and just love it. Not a single day feels like work, Daniel. Honestly, it doesn't feel like work. I love it. And I am the only reason I am arguing with my mother is that she just doesn't like that I'm such a workaholic, and she doesn't understand it, and she thinks I am doing a huge mistake by working 70 hours a week. But honestly, there is nothing I enjoy more than working on my business. And it sounds cheesy, I know, but it's really the case. And I'm sure you understand what I mean. So yeah, Josh and I, we teamed up in private life and in business in 2018, December 2018. I met him on Facebook. Where else could it be, right? And yeah, and he moved to Vienna, and ever since we spent 24/7 with each other. We've been traveling in our camper van last year, most of the like almost all summer through Europe, and then we moved to Spain here in December last year, and absolutely love it here. Started building up, started growing our Facebook group, Good Karma Business, which is our baby, our biggest asset, our everything in business. Yeah, we absolutely love our group and the people in there. And we started growing that group last year in August. August the 6th is what it was. And yeah, and ever since, it's crazy, Daniel. It's absolutely crazy. Things took off in a way we would have never ever thought it would. We thought we reached momentum, and then something else came up, and we were like, "Whoa, that must be momentum!" What they all talk about, right? And then something else came up, and we're like, "Whoa, what goes on here?" You know. So it's a roller coaster of emotions, and but we inhale it, we embrace it, we love it, and we are super super happy with everything what is going on. And yeah, so here we are, happy. I cannot hear you.
Yeah, I sometimes put that on mute just not to disturb you, and I forget all about that. So please forgive me. I want to say I love every part of what you said. I have so much to say, and we just started. Guys, for first, I want you to know that I'm trying to bring the absolute best guest on the show, and I couldn't be more excited to have Niki with us today because I think that today's topic is going to be one of my, one of the most important things in business is going to talk about, not just the strategies and not just the frameworks. It's going to talk about the in-depth things that you should know, the relationships that you need to make on Facebook. I think that Niki just beat us all with the relationship with Josh, who she met on Facebook. You can see how high this can go. It is freaking amazing. And I'm actually very interested because I was interested to know your story with Josh, and I never heard about that, and now I know. It is so amazing, and I can relate to so much of what you said about being workaholic. I mean, my mother says the same, and it's not a bit. I think that it's not about me being workaholic. It's truly about myself being so happy with what I do, so I can work 12 hours a day. It's not like I'm working hard. It is some kind of it's something that I do, and I lose track of time, and it's so amazing, and I love that. And I think that what you said about my interview with Josh, I think Josh, both of you are just amazing. I love because you are so unique, I think, than a lot of marketers that I talk to. I think that one of the scenarios that I can bring, just as an example, guys, Josh, out of the blue, I mean, we did an interview together, and a couple of weeks later, just out of the blue, completely like send me a message just to tell me how much he appreciates me and the work that I've been doing. And it is, I think, crazy how what probably took around maybe 90 seconds to actually write can actually boost my entire day. It's like something so nice and so amazing to read. And this is like it was just so powerful, I think, that it just made me understand the power that goes behind the actual, the messaging, the relationships, the thing that you can do online that, sometimes just take a couple of seconds, but can have a great impact on the someone on the one that is actually listening to you. I think that this message was so unique. I don't think that ever I received something like that, and it was just it put a crazy smile on my face, and I was so happy, and it was really really awesome. And if he doesn't know that yet, if he's watching us now, Josh, you made my day, and it was so awesome to receive that. And I'm really really excited about today's training. I'm super excited to have you, and thank you for all the compliments. I don't know if the camera shows, but I was actually blushing, I think, It is so crazy to know that you actually talk about my group and the things that we're doing here. I'm really trying my best, and I think that you two are also nailing it with your group. So much interaction, so much activity goes on in there. The value that you provide is just amazing, and that really makes me also excited about the rest of this interview. I can't wait to go dive deep into the things that you probably already. I know that you already wrote down and want to say.
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, Josh is watching, so he has heard that, and I know he's really good in exactly what we will be talking about today, how you make people feel. That's what they remember, right? And that's actually such a good start for what I want to share with you guys today, because I think it's so important to understand that, okay, a mentor of mine, one of the most important people in business for me the past 3 years, she told me, in business, Niki, you need to understand two things in order to succeed. The first thing is numbers and money. And the second thing, people. If you understand those two things, you will be succeeding. You will reach what you want to reach, right? And it took me quite a long time, to be honest, to understand exactly what she means. But in the meantime, I figured it out. And that's exactly what we will be talking about today, right? So it's so important for us to shift our focus from product to people, right? It needs really strong relationships and trust to reach your audience. So it doesn't matter what it is that you are doing. The ones who are watching now, if you are into affiliate marketing, network market, if you're a coach or consultant, whatever it is, right? You are here online because you have a business. And in order to be able to say, I am running a business, you need to make profit. And in order to make profit, you need to close sales. But the problem I see over and over again, what people do is to see a lead, right? Which is why I so dislike the word lead. So if I'm using the word lead today a few times, please everybody keep in mind, I so dislike the word lead. I cannot even describe how much I dislike it, right? Because every lead is a heartbeat. Behind every lead you are having in your spreadsheet, there is a dream, there is a vision, there is a family that needs to be that needs to be taken care of. There are dreams, there are hopes, there is fear, there is private bankruptcy, whatever it is, right? There are so many emotions behind the word lead. And the sooner someone who is working online understands that, the better for everybody, right? So please keep that in mind. When I say the word lead today a few times, I am talking about a human being. I'm talking about a heartbeat. And H to H, human to human, this is what we need. This is what we need online, way more than it exists, way more. I want way more out of that, right? And as soon as the sooner we understand how important it is to build really strong relationships, quality relationships, the better for everybody, because that's exactly what you need in order to gain trust and to deserve the trust from your prospects and your future clients. So to know your audience and see them as people instead of clients is super important. To know how to connect with each and every single one of them individually is super important. To know how to earn their trust in everything you do every single day with every action you're taking is super important. And all that is simple, but it's not easy. And I know that. It took me 2 years to figure out how to do it. It took me 2 years to stand out and to really inhale what my mentor was trying to teach me from the very first day, basically, right? So I know it's not easy, but it's simple, right? So let's talk about connections. We are having connections every day on Facebook. Let's stay with Facebook for today, okay? Because I love Facebook. I'm a Facebook girl, okay? Let's stay with Facebook. So let's talk about connections. That's the first thing. So connections must take place on a personal and a very emotional level. If they do not take place on an emotional level, you don't have connections. You are sending private messages back and forth. You're talking on the phone to yourself. You're having monologues, but not dialogues. Connections must take place on an emotional level, because people buy with their hearts, right? And justify with their minds. Let that sink. They buy with their heart and they justify with their minds. And as much as we would like to believe that results, numbers, features, functions, you name it, all that, like we like to believe that's important, right? But it really isn't. It really isn't for your lead, right? What is important for your lead is how you make them feel. What do I mean by that? It is your voice. It is your values, your beliefs. It is your face behind the brand, your personal brand, where you need to reach them on a very, very emotional level. Only then you deserve, yeah, and that is bold now, that word, deserve, their trust. Because I see that so often, Daniel. People are complaining like, oh, that doesn't work, or this doesn't work. Like, what are you complaining about? What have you done to stand out of the crowd to deserve the trust of that person? Tell me, what have you done? And the answer is always shocking to me. Well done that he didn't sign up with you, because you didn't do jack shit in order to deserve the trust from that person, in order for that person to get out the credit card. We must keep in mind, working online, no matter what it is, no matter your niche, no matter your product, your service, whatever it is, right? There is so much competition out there. There are so many others who are trying to sell or to do the same. And we have 1.66 billion users every single day on Facebook. 1.66 billion. Let that sink. Yeah. Now you are telling me that you don't manage to make a decent living with your business. Well, you suck if you don't manage. You simply suck. I'm sorry. Either it is your content or it is you as a person and your personal brand. Because there is no reason why not every single one of us watching now can be so successful. Like, the sky's the limit. The sky is the limit, right? There is no reason to see other people as competition. There is no reason to steal leads from someone's comment section or whatever it is, kindergarten. There's no reason for that. Just check in with yourself and ask yourself, would I have joined myself after the work I have done with that person? Would I have gotten my credit card out for me? Most of the time, if you're honest to yourself, and that's never a bad idea to be honest with yourself, right? The answer is no. So let's get back to connections, right? It really is not the numbers and the results and the features and the functions, if you have like a physical product, right? It's never that. Always keep in mind, people buy with their heart and justify with their mind. And it's always how you make them feel, what makes you either stand out or what makes you, be kicked out immediately, right? And the next thing, which is really important for people to understand, is that you need to know your people. What do I mean by that? There are so many ways to get to know your people. So, for example, there are surveys, there are polls, there are lives where you can be very proactive with your people. There are so many ways, because but what we do, Daniel, is we leave digital DNA everywhere we go these days, right? So as a smart marketer, what you do is you know exactly where and when and on which platform, who you pick up where they are, and you bring them where they want to be, right? So again, it comes all back to you, right? If you don't make money, if you don't reach what you want to reach, check in with yourself. It's always your fault. As harsh as it sounds, it's always your fault. Never the other ones. Never the product. Never the service. It's always you. And you need to.
I love that, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I think that a lot of people are getting, or basically believing that the game of large numbers will work if they'll reach out enough people. If they'll do that enough times, they'll be successful, they'll make sales, they'll convert at least some of those guys. But I
Mhm.
think that also the problem is that when they try to reach that amount of people, everything becomes super technical. They see them as leads, just like you mentioned. They don't see them as human beings. All the conversation actually becomes super technical, super basically even forced. You can even feel from the other side that it's going to be, that feeling, guys. I'm sure that people reaching out to you and they start a conversation, and you have that feeling that it will end with a sale, that they are just building us up in order to introduce you to some webinar, to introduce you to some offer, introduce you to some $997 masterclass. You just know that. And how you know that? Usually, by the way, you are right. And the truth is that you know that because you just feel that they're not putting their heart and soul into the conversation. It is super technical. It is super forced. It's not, they don't care at all about what you have to say, but they do feel like they need to ask at least some questions before actually introducing the product. Sometimes they even introduce it too early, just like you mentioned. They don't. You need to actually, feel like you deserve the spot to actually introduce an offer. They present the offer too early, either because they just want to make the sale and go to the next one. They already have a conversation with someone else. It's not just they're talking to you; they're talking to 10 more people, and there's the same amount of time. Um, and it's not like it's either not relevant to you because they didn't take the time to actually educate themselves towards where your business is at, what your struggles are, what your pain points are. I've been introduced to products that make absolutely no sense at all for me to actually take. They have no idea what I do. It's Sweden on my profile, but they have absolutely no idea what I do. They don't take the time to actually click on my name and to see what my bio is, what my cover photo is. It is super forced. It is super technical. It is so BS, all the conversation. I just know that it will end with a sale, and I automatically tune them out, and I'm not also giving them the opportunity to actually leave a good impression on me. So everything that you said is basically, I agree with 100%. I think that when you are reaching a lot of people and you see that none of those conversations actually go well or end up with something, I think that you need to take a minute to reflect on what it is that you do in the conversations, because a lot of people actually believe that if the conversation doesn't end with a micro commitment or with a sale, then it was a failure. But I think that that is totally BS. I think that a lot of the conversations are just not enough in order to present even a micro commitment, even if it's a free commitment, and a very small thing that they can do. I sometimes hold the option to actually join my group for the next conversation. No matter how small the commitment is, I don't feel like it is the right thing to do, or that it is that I, again, proved myself enough to actually ask them to do anything. I'm not worthy of their commitment just yet, because I'm just like 100 other people that probably send them messages that day. Just like Nikki mentioned, it is super competitive. They are receiving hundreds of messages every single month. And if you'll just be as boring as the others, if you'll just build this up as technical as others are doing, because of all those frameworks and gurus and mentors that people, they teach those to do that, you'll not receive any basically opportunity to leave an impact or to get through their barriers and to actually establish something that is a little bit more than just an offer or a lead, as you say. So again, I agree with everything that you said. I think you mentioned, you basically presented that perfectly. And yeah, I think that's a huge problem, but I'm also super happy that we have people like you, Nikki, who are teaching us to do something completely else, more effective, more authentic. And I think that just is better in every way possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Daniel, so often I find out, like, I am often asking people, why is your approach like that? Like, why did you approach me like that? Why did you ask me that? Why? Like, I'm really asking them, and very often, I know I'm insulting them without wanting them to be insulted and to feel insulted, right? But I really want to find out, where is the problem? Where is the origin, right? Because honestly, I'm 41 years old. Okay, I'm a bit old school with many things, Daniel. I'm telling you as it is, right? Very, very transparent. And I think online is not very different than offline, right? So what I often tell my students is, if you go on a street or if you go in a supermarket and you meet someone who you have seen once before, and you have had a brief conversation with that person, and you see that person again after a few weeks, what are you doing? Like, what is it that you are doing when you go over to that person? Are you saying, hey, how are you? What's going on? Like, how is life? It's been a long time. How are you doing? What's new, right? That's what most people would do, right? Unless you're a sociopath. But but why is it so different offline? Why is it so different? And I don't understand it. And no matter what training you guys who are watching now, no matter what training you have been going through, trainings maybe plural, no matter what anyone told you to do, scripts, you name it, right? Just follow your heart and use your brain, and remember how far you came in life with your own brain and with your heart and with the voice of your gut, right? Because you don't go over in the supermarket and you say, hey, Tim, you know what? I have this new business opportunity. Do you want to have a look? Actually, getting out the phone, boom, here's the presentation. You don't do that. Why are you doing that online? You don't do that. So communication skills, in my opinion, is what 98% of people online lack. And I know it's a very high number, but minimum 95% lack communication skills. And I really don't understand it, right? Because in my opinion, it's one of the easiest things. Like, I'm always telling everybody I work together with, do not expect anything, nothing in return, NIR, right? Nothing in return. Just go in a conversation, plant seeds. I have people who have joined me, who have bought from me after following me 1, 2, even more, 2.5 years was the longest. And what happened over the amount of 2 years was they got to know me. They were laughing with me together. They were crying with me together. We've been on a call together. We've been chatting back and forth together. We've been wishing each other Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday. We build up relationships. So I know there are so many people out there. It doesn't matter what I sell tomorrow. They will buy from me, because the moment I am pitching them, they know exactly it's not BS, because they trust me. I've built up the trust, what is necessary for someone to get out the credit card. So it really is never your product or your service. It really never, that is never the problem. It's if someone is telling you no, it simply means I do not trust you enough yet. And that's all what it is. So work on your communication skills. That's all what it is, right? And, talking about trust, Daniel, trust is like, we talked about offline before. Like in every relationship, not only in romantic relationships, also in friendships, with your family, in work, right? What is the most important component of a relationship? It's trust. And trust is so fragile. Trust needs to be nurtured. It needs to be fertilized, like a manifestation, in order to grow. So if you do your job good and people start trusting you, you need to protect that trust really, really well. And what do I mean by that? Don't start selling scammy stuff, don't get involved in scammy stuff, because I honestly, I can tell you straight from my heart, I've deleted many people who were suddenly promoting, I'm not going to say any names now, of course, but who were suddenly promoting companies which are all over the news feed. And you're like, that is not right. Like, why are you now involved with them? How could I have been so wrong, right? And you unfollow that person. So in order to earn the trust from someone, it takes a lot. It really does take a lot, Daniel. But once you have that, it's not that it's yours forever and you can do now whatever you want. You need to protect that trust, and you need to keep fertilizing it over and over and over again on a daily basis. Yeah, like, how does that look like on a daily basis? Yeah, you need to, basically what you need is flawless, educational, entertaining content, value, guidance. You know, you need to, a community where people feel home, right? That's how I always like to compare it. Like, a Facebook group is a bit like a living room, right? I want people to feel like they can come in good confidence and take off their shoes, you know, have their legs on the couch, and just, you know, or like the backyard, right? I always, like, profile and group, I always tell my students, like, your profile is your front yard, where people knock on the door, where people try to sell you, get to know you, and your group is your backyard, where the juicy stuff takes place, where the Wi-Fi is, where the drinks are, where the food is, you know, where the barbecue takes place, right? That is your group, your backyard, and you want people to feel comfortable there. So be very, very protective of your community. If it's like in a group, or I don't know, whatever it is for you, right? But if you have a community, an inner circle, you need to protect that inner circle. And that means sometimes to decline people. That means sometimes to tell people, look, I don't think you're a match. Please don't take it personal, but I need to protect my existing community. And I think if you have these three things, Daniel, like, if you are able to connect with people on a genuine, honest level, on an emotional level, if you have the ability to get to know them really, like, what are their struggles, their pain points, their need, in order to also to create a product or service around, tailored to their needs. A mistake I often see, and I'm going to say it now once, like, I'm working online only since 3 years. I don't want to sound like a smart ass. There are so many things I still have to learn, right? So don't believe anything I'm saying. That is just my personal opinion I'm sharing with you guys today. But if you are able to connect with people, and if you have the ability to really get to know them and earn their trust, if you manage these three things, you will be succeeding in business. And it's not only me, but also, in the meantime, many students of us, of Good Karma Business, of the Facebook Accelerator, are doing exactly that, and they are succeeding. Like, we have people who quit their jobs because of our guidance. So it can't be that wrong. but do your own research, you know, make up your own mind, like, think for yourself, but listen to your gut, and always remember, offline is not so different than online, right? What do you think? Is it very different, Daniel? I don't know. How old are you? Tell me, how old are you? Like, how do you see that stuff?
I will be 24 next month. I basically was born into that. But I agree with, again, so much of what you said. And I'd like to recap that. I think that, first of all, your analogy, your comparison between the offline and the online world, I think was very interesting. And it actually got me thinking. And this is what I love about those interviews, because I get to hear someone else's opinion and perspective. And then my everything starts to work in my brain, and I start to develop other ideas and other things. And I just love that. And I think that one of the things that, I mean, for example, if we talk about Facebook, I also am a great fan of Facebook. I think Mark Zuckerberg did amazing with that. But I think that we as humans actually are to blame. I think that the comparison between the offline and online shouldn't be that different, but people make that different. I think that mostly because, and the ultimate reason I think for why, real life scenarios, real life relationships, real life meetups are more memorable than the ones that you see on the online world is that just when someone is in a conversation in a real life scenario, they spend a lot more focus, attention, and time into nurturing that existing relationship. You are devoting your entire self into the conversation. You're more authentic, you're more real, and you're just, trying harder than when the online world, when you're just go on Messenger. And a lot of the courses, it's not even about courses. It is about you trying to leverage your Messenger or your content list to actually make sales. So what most people do is just start a conversation with like 20 people, and then whenever someone answers, they're in it until someone else's message is done. And then their focus is being split into 10 conversations. And no matter how fast or efficient you are, you can't really devote your entire self in 10 conversations. And then all of those 10 suffer. All of those 10 conversations actually become either dull or really ineffective or like super technical. Again, we go back to that. You can't really be charming when you're talking to 10 people. You can't really leave a good impression when it takes you 10 minutes to respond on a conversation. Because if you're like in a real life scenario, if I'm now meeting Niki for a coffee, it's not like I'm going to drink a coffee with her and then, you know what, Niki, I have a phone call and I'm going to spend now 10 minutes talking to my friend, and I'm going to sit back, mention something, and then again go again with a phone call. It's not like that. It would leave a horrible impression on you, and you can't really have a conversation like that. And I see that happening all the time. When it's like a chase between a mouse and a cat. So you message them and then they disappear. 4 hours later they message you back, and then you are unavailable, so you message them the next day, and the whole conversations become super like it is being seen like a task. It is so forced, it is so unfun. Basically, you just messaging them and hearing back after several hours. You're not really in a chat, you're more like chasing them and they're chasing you. And this is what happens when you're just messaging someone, not really interested in having a conversation. You're just sending multiple messages and just seeing what whoever responds. I think that this is the main difference between the online and the offline world, is that in the offline world, you're spending your entire focus and attention on that conversation. And then even if you have horrible experience with networking, you'll have 10 times more chances to actually leave a good impression on that. Because it doesn't matter how good you are, when you're spending your focus, you'll probably have a better chance to actually make it work. So this is a very fun comparison, and I like the fact that you mentioned that. And I have so much more to say. I'm trying to come up with the things that I should be writing things down. You said a bunch of stuff that I agreed with. I'm just having a hard time recollecting.
Points, Daniel. I can send you my bullet points.
I would love that. No matter how.
I will.
I would love that. So basically, you know what? You also mentioned the fact that you love building basically a living room for that, which is basically, I think, can be seen as your group, for example, on Facebook. So what you do is you are more than just reaching out to people and building relationships. You're also inviting them into basically a workspace or a zone in which you'll be more accessible and be able to further nurture that that human. Let's not call him lead. And I think that that's also very beautiful. And I think that if you don't have a group just yet, you should really consider adding one, because that is a terrific place to make yourself more accessible and to make your content more accessible, because groups have a much higher reach than normal posts that you have on your Facebook profile.
Yeah.
They make your chances of actually reaching out other people much more high just by having a group and posting it there as well. And I love that.
Yeah, I love groups too. Daniel, as you know. But I would love to add here that anyone who doesn't have a group yet should definitely aim for one. But as we always preach also in Good Karma Business, it's so important to really get a bit of traction, momentum going on your profile first. So you basically funnel people from your profile to your group. That's really the smarter way to do it, because like you don't want to sell apples on your profile and bananas in your group, right? You want people to have a reason to join the inner circle. So for example, like if I post a content piece, I always post it first in GKB, in Good Karma Business, always. Before it goes on my profile, before it goes in another group, my group has priority. So when I start working every day, I always check TKB first. I check TKB first, I check my paid groups, and then after an hour or 1.5, I go on my profile, and then I go in my inbox. So really make it a priority, because there are millions of groups out there. We have to remember that there are millions of groups out there, and people join groups very, very easily. So it's not really difficult to get someone in your group. But what is the difficult part is to keep them in your group, to keep them entertained, to keep them educated, and to give them a reason to stay, right? So I don't know about you, how you do it, Daniel, but like if I go in a group, I always check out the vibe first. Like I always check out, is the admin in charge of his group? Or are there random people self-promoting and, posting BS all day long on their wall, right? And if that is the case, I do the Forrest Gump. I'm running so fast that you can't even imagine how fast, right? But like really, you need to have a reason to stay in a group, right? So that is definitely something I would everybody like to remember when creating a group. It's not hard to get them in, but it's definitely work to make them stay. And when you want to monetize your group one day, there are even more steps that go into that. So funnel them from your profile into your group and have some traction going on your profile first. So, be sure that your message is clear, that you know who you are here for, that you know who you want to serve, you know who you are able to serve, right? And that is so important. And there it is so important to also, like everybody always talks about, you have to know what you are good at. But hardly ever anyone is saying, and you also need to know where you suck in, right? Where you are not good at. That's, in my opinion, equally important. So you outsource, or like in Josh, like I know that Josh and I, we are in a very privileged situation. I am not a solopreneur. I had 2 years of solopreneurship, and I did not enjoy it as much as I enjoy it now. So that is a very nice combination with us. So there are things he's doing, and there are things I am doing, and I know it's a nice thing to have, but it's important to really know what you're good at, and it's equally important to know what you're not good at. So I didn't know where I want to go with that. I lost my line now.
I love that. I love that. So you basically mentioned that focusing on your weaknesses is also as important. You need to come up with an alternative for that. So I can actually give an example, a real life scenario. I had a talk with Niki, and we exchanged graphics for this promotion, and it was funny because I was actually asking her to submit, I think, pictures, and she was having a difficult time with the size of that picture. And we got to talk about how she outsources that thing, because again, not all people are good with graphics, not all people have Photoshop installed, not all people have that and that, and you came up again with a brilliant solution, which is basically to outsource the things that we can really do. Because I think a lot of people who are wasting their time trying to do the things that they suck at, and that's very bad, because your time can be way better invested in the things that you're doing good. And that actually also, by the way, did you watch I sent her a Canva tutorial. I don't know if did you get to download the file?
Which one?
I sent you a 6-minute video about how to compress the images on Canva.
Email? Did you send it to me via email?
Yeah, never mind. I will reply to that message. It was on message.
Check afterwards. But you were such an amazing interview, because that's why I love you. That's why I was waiting for that day, Daniel, because you just brought me back where I wanted to go by just giving me a recap. Yeah, outsourcing. That's what I wanted to mention, but I don't want to interrupt you. So finish it. I'll be saying it afterwards.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to skip to another thing that how I said that I forgot a bunch of what you said. So I basically remembered. So I have a bunch more to say. So if you'd like to finish with the outsourcing, you can totally do that. Otherwise, I do have things to talk about. Some of the things that you mentioned earlier about the scammers, basically, who are promoting bad offers, and also about, well, basically something that I thought about when you said that it's more about you and less about a product. So basically, I am going to drive it in another way. So again, if you'd like to finish with the outsourcing, you are more than you can do that now.
Yeah, it's just very, very brief. it has to do with the relationship building. It has to do with, our main topic for today. But what, like, I don't know, do you know the guy from ConvertKit, the CEO from ConvertKit, Nathan Barry, I think is his name?
You
Josh,
quoted him.
Hmm?
You quoted him one. I remember you quoted him in our messenger, I think.
It was, yeah. It was genius. Like, Josh and I, we love watching interviews from CEOs, which are completely behind the scene, right? Like, you don't know really anything about them. They don't have a following or anything like that, but they really know how to build up businesses, like from the fundament, from the ground. And you can just learn so much from them. So what this guy said was the most important thing you always have to keep in mind, when it comes to your business, is to never lose the touch to your customers. To always be in the first row, to really know what they need, to talk to them, to ask them, and to listen, right? And we both know what Gandhi said: if you listen, you learn something new. If you talk, you just repeat what you already know, right? So that is something I really live by. If I want to learn something, I shut up and I am a listener. So that's what I basically did for the first 6 months online. I was not commenting anywhere. I was in groups, but I was like a ghost. And I really listened. And then I started asking like a kid in kindergarten. But that is so important, to really stay as close as possible to your audience. Which is why Josh and I, for example, we do not outsource anything, nothing so far. It will be changing in near future. We have to change it, to be honest with you. But for the moment, we're not outsourcing anything. We're doing everything ourselves. And you know what? I don't know if you know Stephen Graham. He's a YouTuber. Have you heard about him?
No, I don't think so.
Gosh, you will love him. Daniel, I will send you something from him afterwards. This guy, I don't know how much he makes a month, but like somewhere around $500,000 per month. He has a YouTube channel. He is into real estate. He's a very smart guy, a minimalist, a financial minimalist, right? And he doesn't outsource anything, nothing. Gary Vee, yes, he is automating his posts all over social media, but he's commenting, he's replying to comments himself. So now you tell me, if those guys, if those dudes are able to do all that themselves without a VA, without this automation tool, and without that, right? Don't get me wrong, automation and software has its place, and we are very open, and we are every single day we are checking out another software, another automation tool, like, because we know we will be needing it soon in the near future. But if those dudes don't have to outsource and don't need to hire people, like, why the hell so many people online in so early stages, in baby shoes still? Why do they think that they have to outsource and automate stuff? It's not necessary, because what happens is very often that your hands are not dirty yet from the work. You haven't really done so much work that you know exactly each and every single step of the way, that if you automate it, if you outsource it, how can you control if it's done well, if it's done correctly and properly, right? I don't know, but like, I'm coming from a worker family. I've had a motorbike rental in Greece for 7 years. I was in the mechanic downstairs, although it was my shop most of the time, because I wanted to know that my bikes are safe and well, before they go out to the client. So like, I am not afraid of work, and I guess that kind of like separates me from some people. But I really do think that it's so important, in order to run a successful business, to do a lot of the work, especially in the first, like the first few years, let's say, right? Yourself. So
Yeah.
you know what needs to be done. And as I said, automation, software, it all has its place. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing any softwares or automation tools. The only thing I am a bit criticizing is that people outsource way too early. People, like, for example, I don't allow that a message in my inbox has to wait longer than 24 hours. I am waking up every single day to 99 plus, every single day. And most days I don't go to bed before I reply to them. Most days, not every day, but most days I'm trying my best. So it is possible. It really is possible. It's not rocket science. And I think people should always remember that from nothing comes from nothing. If you don't do the work, if you don't put in the work and the energy, you don't expect much to come out, right? But most people are very motivated and very driven and inspired, I come across. So I just, I love the people I come across. I'm saying it as it is. I really, really enjoy the connections. Awesome entrepreneurs out there, and the whole space is just like, I'm always saying, my friends are in my computer. That's why I'm such a homie. I just love connecting with people. I really, really do. But yeah, that much to relationship building, which is such an important part of the whole journey, that you don't outsource too early, that you really take it serious as a proper business and get back to people, not after 2-3 days. Because what are you signalizing if you get back after 2-3 days? If someone gets back to me after 2-3 days, I'm like, oh my God, how you do one thing, you do everything. Like, if I am not enough of priority as a potential client, that you don't get back to me within 24 hours, but after 3-4 days, I don't want to give you my money. Like, I want more. I really think I deserve more, and I need to be more of a priority, right? So I think that is something we all have to keep in mind when it comes to deserving and earning the trust, that we have to do something for it, and that we have to put in the work and the time and the energy and the effort and the love and the passion and all that good juicy stuff.
I love that. I agree again with a lot of what you said. I love the fact that you mentioned about Messenger, how you typically reply within 24 hours. I know how important that is. I admit my failure. Sometimes I do. Uh no, guy, that if you're sending me messages that I'm not replying within 24 hours, it's totally my fault. I'm super sorry about that. I'm trying to really reply all conversations on time, but I'm also getting flooded, just like Niki sometimes. But it is important, and it actually builds up beautifully to the next thing that I want to mention is that, guys, a lot of what we talk about today, it is true that it will help you with a lot of things in business. It will help you better convert your, again, let's say the word that she so hates, leads. It will help you to convert leads much better. But it's also going to do something that is much more deep than that, I think. Is that I also, a mistake that I see today people make is that they think, for example, if you're an affiliator, okay, and you have an offer that is going amazing, okay, really, really well. I think that a lot of people are having this belief, or sometimes they do that mistake of seeing themselves as the offer. They think that their entire focus and energy should be on this offer, and this offer will bring success. But the fact is that they lose themselves in the process, and they forget about who they are, and they forget about something that I think is way more powerful. And I think that we can take Niki as an example. I think that even it's not going to happen. I'm not wishing that this will happen, but let's take an imaginary scenario in which Niki and Josh right now losing everything. And when I'm saying everything, I'm not talking money. I'm talking about programs, existing data, information, infrastructure, all the programs, the layout that they've made, everything is gone. Obviously, Niki will have a much easier time to actually rebuild everything, not because she knows what she's talking about. You can know that for sure as well. I'm sure that there's a lot of bright minds in this video that are knowing so much, but haven't really scaled just yet. It's not just Niki knows better than you. It is because Niki devoted her entire self into building, Niki as a brand, Niki as a person, Niki as someone who is, if you are now mentioning Niki in the ClickFunnels group, there will be a lot of people popping up and saying how great Niki is. So she basically has the social proof. And it's not like everyone that would recommend her is someone who is previously purchased something from her. They just know that Niki is great because Niki spends her time communicating. Niki spends her time actually providing value. Niki is doing more than just presenting a sale in a messenger. Niki is really an amazing person that a lot of people can resonate with and appreciate. And now again, Niki is more than her beautiful programs, including the incubator and the Facebook Accelerator. Niki is
Niki because again of who she is. And if one day she'll start another program, she'll be able to better leverage and scale that because of how people trust her. It's like I always also like to mention Russell Brunson. Now I don't know how many of you are familiar with his work, but I think that the beautiful thing about him is that he got to this level, and you don't need to be as popular or generate as much revenue as Russell. But I'm talking about the impact that he has. If Russell Brunson now launches a book or launches something, he doesn't even need to sell it to you. If you're a true believer in Russell, like myself, you're just going ahead and buying that. It's not because I'm in love with Russell or that I just, it's more about me having complete sense of trust in the guy, and that I know that if he launched something, if he wrote something, if he did this program, it's going to be insane. It's going to be amazing because of how much I know and trust that person. And if Niki will launch something, or if I will launch something, the people who really appreciate us as a personality, as someone who is a character, will have, already be basically half enrolled in that vision in the program. And it will be also, again, much more easy to actually, unroll them again, or having them take action on your other offers. Okay. So she's more than just converting leads. She is actually building an infrastructure. She is building a system. She is building a relationship in which she'll be able to later on in the future to also, again, make further commitments, to make more offers, to really become that person that people have complete sense of trust in, and just know that if she will ever launch something again, they'll need to check this out. Okay, because when Russell launches something, it makes a buzz. People are stoked and people are happy and interested to know what that is. He doesn't need to run retargeting ads on you. You just know that if he launches something, it is going to be good. Now, you might not like Russell Brunson, so take someone else. If you love Tony Robbins, if you love, I don't know, that popular guy that you mentioned. By the way, Ian actually came up with an interesting comment. Was it Stefan Graham?
Yeah, Stephen Graham. Yeah.
So yeah, I was confused by. I think that either I misheard or you said maybe a different name. But yeah, Stephen Graham is amazing. I know his real estate channel, so thank you, Ian. I didn't reconnect that. Yeah, he's doing amazing, and I love the fact how he actually comments on his own, just like Gary V, who I actually think is maybe a robot. I have no idea how this person can handle so much work, so much time. Gary V actually, yeah, just like you mentioned, comments back, sending replies to your messages. He's doing so many things. It's just amazing how a guy with his with his success, with his activities, with his busyness, let's call it, it is just mind-blowing. I'm out of excuses for why I can't reply the amount of messages that I have, because I know that he's basically 100x that every single day. So that is amazing, and I love the fact that you brought it up, um, because just like, again, when you say something, the wheels are starting to move, and I just love the things that I come up with. So really appreciate that. Um, what's next? Do you think that we have any other tips to give them? Maybe. I mean, if you were now building a business and you would need to basically find your ideal clients and started to connect with them, do you think that we can maybe provide some kind of a layout for how person should start? At least with, communicating or like messaging. You said that you have like a specific day, a specific time in a day in which you go on Messenger. Do you think that that is a better plan to actually strategize on what kind of hours you'll go on Messenger, start connecting?
Yeah, well, the thing is, Daniel, that we have that question so often in our community, in our paid groups. People are saying, how should I manage my time? I'm overwhelmed. People are telling me that 10, 12 hours on Facebook, but still, don't really know if it's productive time, right? I am also working most of the days 10 hours or more, or a bit less. It really depends. But I think what really helps in the beginning, and I did it pretty much from the beginning, I'm still doing it because it helps me, is having time windows. Yeah, having time windows of, okay, for example, 2 hours when I get started, I am checking my emails. I'm getting back to my emails. If you are into emails, right? I personally don't really have a lot to do with my emails, to be quite honest. But Messenger, it could be, right? Messenger on Facebook. And then you have like an hour or two for something else business related. And then you have an hour for engaging and posting on your profile. So basically what I'm trying to say is have time windows for the things, for the tasks, for the daily tasks you have to do. Because what happens often is that you have like a list, a to-do list of, you have to do this and this and this and this and this and this throughout the day. So what happens to many people is they get completely overwhelmed. They find themselves 10, 12 hours on Facebook. And by the end of the day, we're like, oh shit, I haven't even posted, and have I even engaged? So I personally, I love spreadsheets for everything. I'm having spreadsheets for everything you can imagine. So the more structured you are from the very beginning, because you just said like someone who starts out, the more structured you are, the more organized you are, the better for you, because you will find yourself in a position of having way less weight on your chest. So, for example, for me, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. Yeah. If you don't have an appointment, it doesn't exist. Right. So write down, that's the thing, that's the one tip I would give everybody for who starts out. Write down everything you want to do. Be super, super organized and structured and have a plan. Have a plan. And I think time management is a serious problem. It's a serious problem for people who are starting online, because I see it on myself. Like the washing machine is done, I hear the beep, beep, beep. Oh, okay, I'm going out, I'm hanging up the clothes, and on my way, I see something, whatever it is, right? You know what I mean. So working at home, being your own boss, gives you so much freedom and so much mind space on the one side. But if you don't manage your time and if you don't structure your time accordingly to what you have to do, you will find yourself lost and not doing anything, but still being in front of the computer for 10 hours. And that's not really what you want to do. So, be as structured and organized as possible from the very beginning. That's one hot tip I would give everybody who is starting out. And less is more. Less is more. You don't have to post twice a day. If you post 4, 5, 6 times a week, it's fine. But quality over quantity in everything you do online. And what else? What else could we? Well, maybe your audience has questions in here. I don't see anything, but if someone has questions, I'll be more than happy to do a little Q&A.
Guys, if you have any question, I would highly encourage you to do that now, because we'll probably end it very soon. So just message us during inside the comment section. I think that this was a terrific tip. I think that I can vouch for myself that making that structure, I usually really like to work again with docs, with sheets, and even with a Trello board. Trello now is a free service that you can basically register for. And one of the cool things that you can have there is you can have a checklist that you can check mark every single time. And you can also configure basically add an option for it to renew every single day. So every single day you'll need to check again the same kind of things. And one of those assignments that I have is to actually go on Messenger. Now, I'd like to add something to it. Messenger, I think, should also be one of those first priorities that you have. I would like you to basically handle Messenger just like an email. And we tend to put, I think, more importance into email. I mean, if someone emails us, it must be important. We must get back to them. But the same goes for Messenger. If someone contacts you and you're not replying back, it's kind of it's not really good for your relationship. Let's end it with that. So I think that this should be really prioritized high in your day-to-day things. But I would also like you to actually not treat it as an assignment. Now, I said it in one of my lives. I don't know if you've been there, guys, but I think that if you'll just basically see it as an assignment, it will show in your conversations. What I like to do, and a lot of people already know that I'm bringing fire. I'm like putting YouTube on, and seriously, I'm putting songs that I really, really like and like pumped me up, and I'm just putting them on full volume. And I have speakers that like shake the house. And this is what I do when I'm heading back conversations, because I want to be 100% like happy and excited and pumped when I'm on conversations, because that's what makes those conversations good. Like if you're now like very overwhelmed in like the start of the day and you're like, not really in the mood, if you're now hitting up people, it's going to show, it's going to make the conversation, if you even if you don't like that, even if you're not really like aiming for that to happen, it's making the whole conversation like super dull and super, again, technical and stuff. So I like to really put music and like get myself in the mood before I hit Messenger. So that is how I make those conversations like count. Again, not about the quantity, it's about the quality. But do keep in mind that it should happen every single day. So unless you're really unhappy your entire day, and that is something that you need to fix, I'd like you to find a spot, to find a time in which you're really excited and pumped, and just heat those conversations up. And if you're, again, needing a break, do that. That's totally fine. One more thing that I wanted to add is about, keep forgetting. Actually, I don't remember what that was. Sorry, guys, I don't remember. But again, if you have any questions, I would love it if you can send us a comment. I do see a bunch of comments. Let me just read that quietly, see if there's any question in that. Nothing to add. Okay, so there's. I appreciate it.
Maybe what I would like to add, Daniel, when it comes to Messenger, Messenger is a question we have in our program all the time, because Facebook doesn't really offer a lot of features when it comes to Facebook Messenger, right? So you get a lot of messages every day. It's getting very overwhelming. You don't know who you have already answered. You scroll up and down, and then suddenly you see, oh, there was a message I haven't even opened, stuff like that, right? So what I do is, when I have Messenger time, which is a few times a day, I open the whole Messenger. I don't open just the window down there. I click on see all in Messenger. So I have two Facebook windows open. One is only Messenger, and the other one is my newsfeed, my timeline, my groups, whatever, right? And as you said, it's perfect. As you said, the way you said it is so perfectly. You need to see your Messenger like your email account, like your emails, right? Because that is when you work online. Let's say you're on Facebook. That is where your messages are coming in. They are not coming on in your email. So you really need to take it serious what comes in Messenger, right? And another thing I am doing, and I'm always recommending people to do in order to stay a bit on track and organized, is to use the possibility of hiding messages. So once you read the message, what you basically do, like you open a whole Messenger, see all in Messenger, right? And then next to the message itself, you have three dots. If you click on those three dots, you have the option of hiding the message. And what happens when you do that is the message basically goes one step back and just is in your archive, right? Very difficult word for me. I never pronounce it right. I hope you guys know what I mean. And after I read a message, and that conversation for now is not important to me because there is nothing open. I'm not waiting for anything. That person is not waiting for anything coming from my side. I hide the message so it goes back. I can access it anytime easily. But in that way, it's getting less overwhelming, right? Because you can work one after the other one, and you have your focus on the existing and pending ones. And another thing you should definitely take advantage of is marking messages as unread, especially when you are on the go outside and you read a message quickly on your phone and you don't want to forget about it, right? Because till you are back home, you might forget about it. We are all human, right? But if you mark it as unread, it will pop up in your inbox again. That is like super, super basic, but that is basically all you can do without any software or automation, just pure and natural as Facebook is. And I am working with that since 3 years now, with these two little strategies, if you even want to call it strategies. And it really serves me well. It really, really serves me well. It happens to me that I forget about messages. It happens to me that I forget to reply to messages. And I always feel awful. I always apologize. It happened today to a student of mine. I was like, I can't even come up with anything. I just forgot. I'm sorry. Please accept my apologies. But it shouldn't happen too often, to be honest. Yeah, if it happens once in a while, then it's fine. But if it happens to you 3-4 times a week, you need to check in with yourself, and you need to figure out how you can avoid that in future, like with everything else.
I love that. Even though it was like a last minute tip, I think it was really great, guys. I do a similar procedure, just like you mentioned. I'm opening the full messenger window. And then what I have is actually the ability to click on the three dots and to have only to basically only see the unanswered messages, the
Mm.
unread ones. And
Mm.
this is what I do. And then I handle one conversation and then it disappears because I already seen that. And obviously, I would recommend, just like Niki did, to always, if you're now checking, you're tempted to check what the message says. But once you do that, once it's read, you'll probably forget all about that. So if you can't really get back to that person, make sure always to click and mark it as unread. You have that option. You need to do that because it doesn't matter how good you are when you receive 20 messages a day, you're not going to respond to that. And when that person sees it, you're not responding, it looks bad, it looks horrible. And chances are that he's not going to message you back. And, you can forget all about this conversation. It just looks really, really bad. So make sure to do that. I think it's a great tip. Also, again, seeing a bunch of comments, and really, guys, I really appreciate the fact that you're staying here. I think that also Niki is surprised because she basically told me, okay, we'll run 45 60 minutes. We're already at 75 minutes, Niki, and I couldn't be more excited and more
I don't
pumped.
see anything, Daniel. Who is watching? How many people are? I don't see anything. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go over now to my feed, to Facebook. Okay, give me a second. Let me check.
We actually had a pretty nice retention. We are at 8 people now. For the majority of the live, I saw the count was about 14 people. And it was really an amazing experience to interview Niki. It was such a pleasure. I also wanted to just drop it, guys, if you'd like. Niki has a Facebook group. How is it called? Good Karma.
Good karma
How
business.
is it? Good Karma Business. So
Yeah.
you should definitely check it out. You can either she's tagged on this way on this training, so you can either reach out. Maybe I'll also drop a link down below. Niki and Josh also have several products. If you'd like to check it out, she has they have basically the Facebook incubator. From my understanding, it is more about creating Facebook groups. So if you guys are interested, you can check that out. I'm going to follow up with people who asked for the notes for this session. I don't know, Niki, if you know that, but I'm actually giving the ability to sign up for notes. So basically, during our training, I took some notes and I'm basically going to write all about those. So people who secure those notes, I'm going to send it over to you, and you are going to receive like a 4 to 6 page kind of summary of those interviews. It's going to be really, really awesome. It's a new idea that I implemented, and I think it's really, really insane because we talked about so much. And I took some notes, and I am going to really provide a summary on that. So, guys, if you've secured those notes, you are going to receive that. Otherwise, you can reach out to me, and maybe I'll also get you on that messenger sequence. And yeah, so basically, she has the Facebook incubator. If you're interested in forming groups, something that we did discuss lightly inside this training, you're more than welcome to do so. I'll drop a link down below. If you're interested, they also have the Facebook Accelerator, which is another program. Just mentioning that, guys, if you're interested to learn about Facebook organic, I don't think that there are greater people to teach that than Josh and Niki, who basically has been crushing it in the Facebook organic. I think that you didn't even touch the ads so far. Am I right? I mean, they
You're right. And actually, the incubator, we gave birth to the Facebook incubator only a month ago. So the Facebook incubator basically is the little sister of the Facebook Accelerator. And we were bored. No, just kidding. We launched the Facebook Accelerator a month ago. We relaunched it in June this year. It's our big program. The Facebook Accelerator basically covers profile, group, monetization. We have a sales coach in there. We go live every week. We have live training calls. It's like a lot. But we were saying, let's create something smaller, for people who just need help with the profile and their group, because The reason being is we came across a lot of people who need help with that. And the feedback we received and the input we received is that there is no good training out there which covers that, like how to optimize your profile, have a decent engagement, have visibility, and how to create a Facebook group and, you know, create a raving community there. So we were like, okay, well, if it doesn't exist, let's create one, right? Because I think we know what we do. And that's what we did only a month ago. That's the Facebook incubator. That's the small sister, basically. That's profile and group, but without monetization, without training calls. And the bigger one is with everything.
I love that. And we have actually a bunch of people inside this group who are already took action on your offers. I think we have Valeria, who is in your Facebook Accelerator. We
Yes.
have Marlene, I also think she's in the Facebook Accelerator. I know Neil, who is a great friend of mine, who I discuss to him almost daily, and he couldn't say enough good things about you. He's like super pumped in your offer.
Enough. He's such a great guy.
Yeah,
Neil,
he
right?
said so much good about you too. It's just crazy. I mean, I love Neil. He's a great person.
Really.
And yeah, we have a bunch of people here that are super stoked about this programs of yours. And this is, again, let me quickly recap, guys. This is why this is so exciting, because Niki and Josh basically do so much with the programs. They provide so much value that people are just thankful for that. And this is why, you know, they talk and they mention. And this is why I got to hear about their programs, because basically I talked to a bunch of people who are so excited about the the results that they have been getting, and the treatment that they have been getting, and the personal support and the QAs and everything. And this is why when Niki will launch something else, people will be super stoked about as well. It is about who Niki is and the person that she basically came up to be, because of how she treats people, how she treats leads and people, and her customers, basically.